Hello, my name is Tim Johnson, and I'm a student at Aspen University in the Doctor of Education in Learning and Leadership program. Today I'll answer these three questions. What is neuroscience and how is it emerging? How does neuroscience relate to leadership? And how can this relationship benefit my organization? So what exactly is neuroscience? Neuroscience is the study of the nervous system. Brain science, however, refers to brain imaging studies that examine how the brain functions when people are presented with tasks. This imaging is typically conducted with functional magnetic resonance imaging, positron emission tomography, or single photon emission computed tomography. The technology behind brain science is still relatively new, dating back only to the early 1990s. Both Pillay and Schaffenbuhl describe the field of neuroscience as emerging. As the field develops, scientists are gaining a better understanding of the effect of the brain on behavior. This leads us to the next question. How does neuroscience relate to leadership? Neuroleadership is how neuroscience applies to leadership management, management training, change management, and consulting and coaching. How can we apply neuroleadership in the workplace? Schaffenbuhl suggests three areas where neuroleadership is beneficial to an organization. Those are change management, creative thinking, and employee engagement. We all know that people resist change. We resist change because our brain interprets that as a threat, causing fear and anxiety. Leaders can reduce that threat by emphasizing the positive aspects of the change. Creative thinking requires focus. Unfortunately, workers are bombarded with multiple distractions throughout the day. Organizations can work to minimize distractions by reducing the interruptions in the worker's day. Thanks to neuroscience, we also know that multitasking increases distractions, thus reducing our focus. Finally, we can apply neuroleadership to employee engagement by following the change management and creative thinking advice previously discussed. When leaders can effectively manage change and create an atmosphere of creative thinking, they will better engage with employees. So how can this relationship benefit my organization? My organization is a combination of a social services agency and 5 federally qualified health centers, providing medical, dental, and mental health and recovery services across the state of Ohio. Over the last 2.5 years, the organization has been under constant change, including changes to nearly all of our C-suite leaders and many directors and managers. Additionally, during that same time, our board of trustees contracted with a consulting agency to lead more change in our medical centers. As I previously discussed, change creates fear and anxiety. Most of this fear and anxiety is due to a lack of transparency and communication. New processes are implemented without the input from employees and are poorly communicated. The lack of communication and transparency has created an atmosphere in the medical centers where employees complain about the changes. Had the organization been more transparent, asked for employee input, and most importantly, communicated the change, the situation may have gone better. To recover, leadership should focus on promoting the positive aspects of the change so employees will focus less on their fear. Multitasking is another issue in my organization. We are an organization that loves to meet, and technology has made it easier for employees across a large geographical area to come together. During our many daily meetings, it is clear that many participants multitask during the meeting. Often, when called on, they ask to have the question repeated. We multitask because we have to. There isn't enough time in our typical workday to finish all of the work that needs to be finished. Now, this typically affects leaders. I suggest we consider limiting the amount of time each leader can have blocked out daily for meetings. Possibly 50% of the day can be spent in meetings, while the other 50% of the day can be spent completing work. Technology, such as Microsoft Teams, email, etc., makes it very easy to become distracted by the many messages we receive. It's not uncommon for me to get 2 to 3 Microsoft Team messages almost simultaneously, breaking my focus. I would propose that leaders use the Microsoft Teams Do Not Disturb function to help minimize those distractions. And finally, our organization needs to work on engaging employees by reducing their fear of change, managing the technology so they can focus on their jobs, communicating openly, and discouraging multitasking. The fascinating thing about neuroleadership is that we know from a scientific standpoint what needs to be done. The challenge is applying these practices. The following references were used in this presentation. Thank you for watching this presentation on neuroscience, neuroleadership, and their impact in the workplace.